Hey guys, it's Chris. Welcome back to K97.5. This week we got some classic hip-hop for you. We have some Public Enemy, Bring the Noise.
Yeah, boy!
Yeah, boy!
Bass! How low can you go? Death row? What a brother know. Once again, back is the incredible rhyme animal, the uncannibal Public Enemy #1. 5 set free!
Hey guys, it's Chris. I'm back with James from Daily Sports Trivia, and we're back for another Game of Thrones Season 7 Q&A. I'm sure we got plenty because I've been gone.
Well, before we do, I'm just going to bring that up.
Okay.
How was your little trip? Your little excursion?
It was good. It was good to get away a little bit and stay away from computers and phones.
You were definitely away from computers and phones.
Yes. I had zero cell service and a shitty Wi-Fi that came in sometimes at night. So I really couldn't reply to comments and all that good stuff. So.
I know, and I texted him and never got a response. Thought he didn't like me anymore. Come to find out, no cell service. How did Riddick do?
Zero. Oh, he loves camping. He loves camping.
What about
his first thing is to shoot towards the river and go swimming, and this is ice cold water. He didn't stay in it long, but he just loves running through the edge of a lake or a river and just getting soaking wet and biting the water and grabbing sticks. And
he needed a vacation just as much as you
did.
He did.
He sits around here all the time while I'm editing, and I have to get up and go play ball with him, so he needed that too. Man. We needed a change of environment for get out of the dungeon for a couple of days. So.
Well, from the pictures I saw, I don't know. Are you doing a vlog about it?
Yeah, I did vlog it, so it'll be on the vlog channel here before long. I've started the editing process on that, so it's a lot of clips.
Well, I'm going to dive into a question, and this one it comes from the new character leaks or whatever, and you did that Marwyn the Mage video about it.
Yeah, the new the update with him with Jim Broadbent being Marwyn the Mage. Yeah.
And this question comes from that, and this is from Catherine Garvin. And Catherine says, what kind of storyline do you think would keep this character on for 5 episodes?
That's a good question. I think it's definitely going to be tied into Sam in the end game. So, I think there's going to, he's going to be there. He may actually have something to do with Jorah and curing the grayscale.
Oh,
because if you think about it, Marwyn in the books is the one who actually trained, or I guess you could say trained, Mirri Maz Dur in some healing arts, and she of course is the one who Dany ended up burning alive at the funeral pyre to hatch dragon eggs.
Right.
And she's the one who basically killed Khal Drogo.
Yeah. So
he's got connections through all that, and in the books he's got connections. He's an archmaester of magic, the higher arts, and he thinks there's a big conspiracy going on about the maesters in the Citadel being anti-dragon, anti-Targaryen. So he even makes a statement about that's why Aemon Targaryen, Maester Aemon, wasted his life at the Wall.
Oh.
So he thinks there's a big Maester conspiracy.
I see. And he did, to me, waste his life at the Wall. I mean, compared to what he could have had.
He says he chose that, and it was his choosing to bypass the crown and all that stuff, and he had already made that choice as far as being a sworn Maester. But Marwyn thinks differently.
So if you're correct, and he is Marwyn the Mage, you think he's going to be introduced to us at the Citadel? Yeah,
I think he'll be at the Citadel. He'll meet Sam, and I think it'll basically follow the same storyline, but maybe focus a little more on the healing in Jorah, and him maybe becoming Dany's Maester. Because he is going to see Dany like everybody else in the books. That's where he's on. He's left the Citadel now in the books, and is headed to see Dany.
Now, I think you touched on it in that video. The character that's playing this character, Marwyn the Mage, we think.
Right.
Age-wise, does he fit?
Yeah, I don't remember actually Marwyn's age. He is older. Okay. So I think it's about right.
And if he is Marwyn, that excites you because you've mentioned him a lot.
Yeah, and the reason is because he is, I love the whole magical aspect of everything, and he's the archmaester of the higher arts, and Sam wants to become a wizard. And he can teach him those things.
Dude.
So you could see Sam maybe using a glass candle. I mean, I don't think we're going to see glass candles in the show necessarily. But, we've heard Sam, the word wizard's been used twice now on the show. Sam said, I've always wanted to become a wizard.
Yes, I remember
Later,
that.
Gilly calls him a wizard when they head south towards the Wall.
That's right.
Because he knows everything. So he's going to become some type of wizard. So hopefully that includes a little bit of magic. We'll see.
Very cool. I hope it is Marwyn.
He's a really cool character.
Yeah, because what you've told me, I can't wait to delve into him. The next question comes from Charlie Direwolf.
Charlie Direwolf.
All right. And I know the answer to this, but I just want to hear what you say. Hey, Chris, When they drop a Game of Thrones trailer, are you going to do a review on it? And I hope it's soon.
I knew it. I told you about all week before the trip. I said, what's going to happen is I'm going to get in the car, and I'm going to get out of town, and they're going to drop a teaser.
He did. I mean, he kept saying he was worried about it. I'm not going to be able to make a video on it.
Because, it's kind of a time-sensitive thing. You want to hop on that while the iron's hot. And
I kept saying, stop worrying. He brought it up at least 20 times. It's going to happen. I know it. I can feel it.
Exactly. And as soon as I got in the car, apparently it happened. Because as soon as I pulled up there and got on the Wi-Fi up there, and it kind of worked the first day, there wasn't many people there on the Wi-Fi, I saw, there it is. There's the teaser and the release date and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, well, great. That's awesome. I called that shit. But at least it didn't have footage. Because I like to break down the footage and speculate what's going on, and that type of thing. So at least it wasn't the whole full actual teaser.
But it was, it did, have people talking.
Yeah, it was very cool. I think it was pretty straightforward. I watched a lot of videos when I got back and could watch videos, and a lot of breakdowns were out immediately, I'm sure. So I missed that boat, but I did the little video yesterday about the blue eye at the end of this thing.
Yeah.
That was the big controversy.
That was the one.
So hopefully that clears some things up. That'll be in the description below as far as the blue eye argument that you may have seen.
And let's see. While we're talking about it, here's a question from Brendan Lee Wasson. Hope I said that right, Brendan. Did you notice that in the teaser the middle dragon is white? Is this just lightning, or could it be foreshadowing ice dragons? Yeah,
I think I saw somebody else mention that too. And after watching it a few times and seeing the other, sigils spinning and moving, right. I think it was the light, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, it could have been, you could say it did look a little lighter, the one in the middle, but I think it was based off the light, the way it rotated. Because the other ones kind of changed their shades as it rotated around and stuff. So
who are the two guys? The D&D, Dan and Dave, is that right?
Dan and Dave.
And Dave. If Dan and Dave watch and they're on, say, YouTube and message boards and everything, and they kind of get a feel from what the audience is wanting, then there'll be a damn ice dragon, because I think people want to see that.
They do fan service for sure, because the first, 2-3 seasons were really fairly close to the books.
Okay.
And then they really, as George R. R. Martin kind of stepped away and stopped writing episodes and things like that, it kind of started to, but of course they knew that was coming because they caught up to the book so fast. Exactly. It was originally, the idea was like one season equals a book. And, they kind of caught up too fast, and he thought he could have Winds of Winter earlier and all that good stuff, and A Dream of Spring, by the time season 8 or 9 or 10, whatever it was going to be then, came out, so that didn't work out.
So, once and for all, I guess, do you think we'll see one?
I don't think, and the reason is it goes back to the symmetry thing we've talked about so much. Mm-hmm. To me, on the fire side, you have Dany. She in herself has no magical power other than her Targaryen blood being able to bond with dragons, and her fire resistance. And apparently in the show, she's immune to fire.
So stunning beauty's not a power.
That's also a power.
Yes.
Yeah, that's also a power, for sure. But and then on the ice side of the world, right? You have this northern ice magic, as we kind of call it, is necromancy and stuff.
Yes.
And the green sight and all that good stuff, warging, skin changing. So I don't think it makes sense for something from the fire side to be kind of taken over to the ice side.
I agree.
And throw off that symmetry. Now, it could happen because we talked about in our last death video, part 2.
Talked about a white.
We talked
dragon.
about I could see it as a good twist on the third dragon rider. That's the only way. That's what I think would be kind of cool about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think there, because he did write a novel called The Ice Dragon, and it's not in the same world though. So a lot of people speculate that that's why Winterfell was called Winterfell, because the dragon died there, an ice dragon. The pools there, they remain cool throughout the year. you know, that type of thing, because that's what happened to the ice dragon in that book. When it died, it melted to a pool. You know,
Okay,
so that's what started
about
the speculation.
Ned walking around naked and stuff.
Yeah, in Winterfell, and there's hot springs under Winterfell,
Yeah.
so there's probably myths around, you know, what's under the ground there. Is there a dragon in the crypts?
Is it like an incubator?
Yeah, right. I don't think there's a dragon in the crypts. I think it would be dead. I mean, we've learned from history now in the show, at least, that when they started locking dragons up, that's when they got smaller and withered away
Yes,
and all that kind of
we have
thing. So
learned
I don't
that's
think
right.
that would work as far as it's still a creature, you know, it still needs to eat. So anyway, I mean, I understand wanting to see it. It's a very cool sounding thing. I don't know. I mean, I just don't see it as with the symmetry. But again, it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical either. So, you know, it's certainly possible.
Next question. The Gab Fest.
The Gab Fest.
Q&A. Hi from France, Chris.
Hello there.
Do you think they
Bonjour.
will,
Right?
Yeah, bonjour. Do you think they will mix Marwyn and McWhorter storylines? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, McWhorter.
It says, I can see them pull McWhorter's trick on Victorian, but with Jorah's grayscale. Thoughts?
Yeah, I could see something like that. For the backstory on that, we've talked a
Yeah.
little bit about McWhorter before. He heals Victarion's hand. Now, Victarion is Euron's brother, who is not in the show at all, and he's healed by McWhorter, a red priest, and
Yes.
he heals him and burn. It's basically like a burnt type of thing, but it's really strong and it actually saves his life because it would have been a life-ending injury. So yeah, I could see a little bit of that. Maybe
The way
some
they
kind of
do blend characters sometimes.
the way they do. So I could see like that method being used on his arm, for example.
Very cool.
Then again, you know, that's kind of a red priest thing, you know, Lord of Light, R'hllor thing, and Marwyn's not really into, you know, religion that I'm aware of. So yeah, but I could see, you know, that some kind of method of fire method being used, or so to speak. So yeah, I mean, it's possible because they do blend characters.
They definitely
So
do.
it's a good question.
Okay, let's see. And staying on this Marwyn, says this question is from The Storm, which is a pretty cool name, I think. Great video. I think you're right. Broadbent will most likely be playing Marwyn. With all this talk of maesters, I started thinking about old Grand Maester Pycelle. Do you think Cersei will just appoint Qyburn to be Grand Maester, or will the Citadel insist on a Grand Maester of their choice? Or will there even be a Grand Maester? Keep up the good work. I hope you have a great and safe weekend.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think the Citadel will appoint their own Grand Maester, but Cersei doesn't have to accept that Grand Maester to come to King's Landing, if that makes sense. So they may want to appoint one because she has no power over that.
Right.
But the Grand Maester goes to King's Landing and serves the king and the court and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So she can refuse any of those people. So I think she will essentially make, you know, Qyburn her personal Grand Maester, so to speak. So I agree. I don't think there's going to be a new Grand Maester coming to King's Landing, if that makes sense.
Okay. I'll give you a couple lobs, little soft pitches for you to hit out of the park.
All right.
You ready for a long one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be a
Break
little bit of
break it
reading.
up.
Okay. It
we
says,
can.
this is from Buddy Doug.
Buddy Doug.
Buddy Doug says, hi, Chris. Thanks for the God update. I was wondering if you could give me some feedback on a theory I have about Bloodraven.
All right.
My theory is that the Bloodraven is not dead. That he possibly has been on the side of the others, White Walkers, ever since he encountered them, possibly while he was a part of the Night's Watch. I think he has been trying to get back at the realm and the full-blooded Targaryens since he was sent to the Wall. I think he developed his green seeing abilities by using the Children of the Forest and the Weirwoods. He then used that power to manipulate Westeros. I think it was like a big game of chess to him. Driving the king mad, sending the wolves to the Starks, Brandon falling out of the tower. Why was he not more upset that Brandon was marked by the Night's King? He must have known what that meant. I think that Brandon is the key to getting the Walker army south of the Wall. I think that being marked will allow the Wall to come down. You don't see Bloodraven die, even though everyone else in that episode is shown to be killed by the White's army. I think the Night King just cut him out of the weirwood, and he was disconnected from Bran's dream. Any feedback would be greatly appreciated. All the best to you, bud. Now, That was lengthy, but you've talked about certain things about this, but I'd like for you to sum up what he's asking.
So I think the Blood Raven has been manipulating the realm, but I don't think he's doing it for as a bad guy, so to speak.
I don't mad because he was sent to the wall.
Yeah, I think that he has always been there for the realm. He was born a Green Seer. There were rumors of him using sorcery and stuff when he was handed the king as Brendan Rivers, and that was all probably true.
Okay.
So when he did everything he did for the realm, and I don't see him because Aegon V sent him to the wall because he killed a Blackfire that was supposed to come to the council. I don't think that just because he got sent to the wall that all of a sudden he wanted revenge on everybody. If that makes sense. So I've never seen him as a bad guy. So
now, what about where he says it's like a big game of chess to him, driving the king mad, sending the wolves to the Starks, Brandon falling out of the tower? What do you think about that?
Well, the thing is, you got to think about, all right, first of all, as far as his death goes, all right, we saw him get whacked in Bran's vision. He literally, turned to dust, essentially, and floated away. So I think he was killed physically. But from what we know in the books, he's not really dead in the sense that he's going to live on in weirwood.net forever, apparently. Because we get hints when Bran is learning to ward crows and stuff, for example, that, he senses other, entities in the crow with him. So those are past children that used to warg those birds.
Okay.
So I think he lives on in that sense anyway. As far as the Mad King stuff and all that, I do think he was the one who whispered, "Burn them all," trying to save the realm, and that was the what he realized, that you screw with the past, and that's the consequences you have, which is why he tells Bran not to do it, and it can't be done. He's lying to him in a sense, but he's doing it for a good reason, if that makes sense. It kind of fits everything else in the story. Everybody's gray. People lie, like Ned Stark, for example, but it's for a good reason.
Yeah.
Even the good guys, so to speak, right? And as far as him, as the mark on Bran's arm, he already knew it was going to happen. He's already seen all this. He's already seen the future.
That's why he wasn't more upset about it?
He wasn't upset because he knew it was going to happen. He's already seen this stuff. He's already seen how this is going to go down, which is why he's playing the chess pieces to make it happen. To bring Bran up there with the dire wolves and all that good stuff. So,
but the way Buddy Doug, good question, Buddy Doug, the way he's talking is like he almost wanted Bran to get marked to bring the wall down so the army could come south and wreak havoc on everybody. That's what you got, right?
Yeah. I don't think he's doing it because he wants it to happen. I think he's doing it because it's going to happen, but he's got to have the pieces in place to save the realm. It's almost exactly opposite.
I see what you're saying.
What he's saying, I think.
It's got to happen.
It's got to happen. He knows it's going to happen, but he's got to make sure that the pieces are in place to deal with it, if that makes sense.
No,
I know
it does.
It's weird with the time things and the loops and all that, but he's seen all this. He knows the wall's coming down. He's known probably for a long, long time, being the Three-Eyed Crow, that this was going to happen. They were going to come back or whatever. He's seen... he knows who Jon Snow is. He's influenced Jon Snow through Lord Commander Mormont's raven in the books. He has a raven that he feeds corn to all the time. The raven's talking, saying things like king and repeating snow and repeating certain things. But anyway, I think he's influencing events there. He's definitely influenced Jon to become Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
Yeah.
Because in the books, when Sam, basically puts his name in the hat and Jon becomes commander, Mormont's old raven, after he's dead, flies up to Jon and lands on his shoulder and says, basically, and almost kind of convinced people to vote for him.
Yeah.
So he definitely set that up, and I think he's definitely the one communicating with Melisandre through the flames, because she saw a 1,000 eyes in one in the flames.
Yeah.
Or 1,000 eyes in the flames, and a wolf with a boy's head that leaned back and howled.
Yeah, you've never denied that she sees stuff in the flames.
Right, and I think that's probably where that comes from for these, red priests and priestesses as far as their god R'hllor. I think it's all the same source, and I think that is Bloodraven. He is the big player in all this, but I don't think it's for, some malicious reason, if that makes sense. I think he's still loyal to the realm. There's no reason for him not to be. You know what I mean? I mean, you could say, he just wants revenge, and he knew this was going to happen, but he was not around. He was still, he wasn't even born when the White Walkers were created by the children.
Well, let me ask you this, because he says, he possibly has been on the side of the others, the White Walkers, ever since he encountered them, possibly while he was a part of the Night's Watch.
Right.
he definitely has had interactions with them that we have not seen because of that look we've talked about that he gave him.
Yeah, he definitely knows who he is, and they know who he is. Right?
They've crossed paths a couple
I
times.
agree, but also he's also saved people from them. You know, even in the show, you got a little hint of that for book readers may have noticed when Sam killed the White Walker. Before he did that, they got a warning.
Yes,
through a bunch of damn ravens, and that's what he does. And that was kind of a little shout to Cold Hands as well.
Cool, actually, yeah.
So then he warned Sam that something was coming, and then of course when they ran from the place after he killed it, you saw the flock of ravens fly towards the camera. That was Blood Raven.
Awesome.
So you know he's on the side of the children because the children are his teachers essentially. He's the last Green Seer. He's on their side, but the children lost control of their weapon.
Yeah. So
they realized they fucked up. They made a mistake. So in that sense, yes, he's on their side, but not the White Walker side because they are the rogue kind of broken arrow, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
So I think he's definitely manipulating things. I think he's definitely responsible, probably more than likely at least, for the Mad King. It could have been just incest and going crazy, but he wasn't always crazy. So I think he's tried that, and that's why he's telling Bran and lying to Bran, no, you can't change the past, the ink is dry, but he's doing it only to keep him from screwing something up. Because he knows this is basically the world's on his shoulders.
So now that he is dead, you feel like he's dead, even though you say he'll live on in weirwood.net. Is Bran the new puppet master, so to speak, manipulating those pieces and finishing Blood Raven's job?
Essentially, that was what he was recruited for, and I think he will be the last Green Seer.
And even though Blood Raven didn't come out and tell him,
right,
you are my protege, you are going to finish what I
started. Well, he did
tell
tell him, you will be me.
He said, you will be me?
Yeah, he did tell him, you will be me.
All that entails.
Right,
man,
exactly.
So,
kind of ended a little bit early because of the cave attack.
Is Bran ready for that role?
I think that's the central part of the story, is he?
Yeah.
Because he said in himself he's not ready. He didn't learn fast enough. He didn't have enough time to learn.
I mean, he's learned a lifetime's worth of stuff so fast.
Right.
He was a little kid, man.
Yeah, he was still very young, and he's got all this on his shoulders now, and that's where his dilemma comes in as far as the wall goes, and I've talked about that in a separate video I did, Bran's dilemma.
I know.
He's got that mark, but does he... The choice is, right, stay up there and die, and there is no more Green Seers that can warn people and see things and possibly stop them later. Or does he go through the wall and take a chance while he has the prince that was promised down there?
Man.
You know what I mean? So it's either... Because he's probably going to figure, okay, if I don't go through the wall, the realm will be safe for a little while longer.
Yeah.
But Jon eventually will die. He's the prince that was promised. He's the Song of Ice and Fire, whatever is needed to end this thing. And I could die, and the realm will be safe for another 100 years or 200 years, or maybe even thousands of years. But at some point, they'll find a way. So I might as well go through now while I have this prophecy on my side, or this prophetic person that has this magic blood.
You ought to link that video in here. That'd be
I'll definitely do that. So I think that's his dilemma in season 7.
Awesome.
And
man.
the Winds of Winter, I guess, if that happens in the books like that.
That was a good question. Stirred up some good talk. This next question, I love your name. This next question is from Camel Toe. Camel Toe says, Q&A. Hey, brother, where was Tyrion during the tourney at Harrenhal? I am wondering if he is going to have anything to contribute to that part of the story. I am sure at the very least he has heard rumors and has an opinion on that whole ordeal. I've been following you for a long time, man. Let me get a shout out. LOL. Smokescreen for life.
Yeah, Camel Toe, what's up, man? Yeah, I mean, I think Tyrion probably, I don't think he was there. I'm not sure of the time, and he's about 30-ish. I don't think he was there. But I know I'm sure he knows probably everything about it because he reads so much. He reads everything. He's up all night reading in the books, and in the show it's even mentioned. They kind of said that. Catelyn actually tells Mr. Lewin that when they're headed to Winterfell in episode 1, for that matter.
Yeah.
I hear Lord Tyrion stays up reading all night.
Right.
You know, he's reading again when Jon Snow and him go to the wall, and Jon says, "Why do you read so much?"
Right.
So yeah, he knows all about all that stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, it says I'm sure at the very least he has heard rumors and has an opinion on that whole
right.
deal.
So yeah, I wouldn't think he's privy to any necessarily secret information about Rhaegar and Lyanna and all that kind of stuff that kind of came from the turning of Harrenhal, but yeah, I'm sure he knows the general idea.
While we're on that topic, do you think Littlefinger is privy to anything? Because he seems to be in the mix of on a lot of rumors.
I think
shit.
Littlefinger knows that Rhaegar did not kidnap Lyanna, but I don't think he actually knows specifically that Jon is their son.
But he would, okay, if you feel like he knows that, he worked for Robert for a long time, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
But he would never tell him that to try to calm that desire that he had and that hatred he had.
Right.
And that's because everything he does benefits him some way.
Yeah, I mean, his whole plan from the get-go was, we have to get the Starks and the Lannisters at war.
Right.
And so, yeah,
Why
he's
would
not,
I tell that?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's a dirty little bastard.
Yeah, so, I don't think he knows specifics, but I think he gave, in the show at least, he gave that look to Sansa when she was like, yes, he chose my aunt, but then he kidnapped her and he raped her, and he was like, okay. He didn't say anything, but you could see the look. So, he probably knew that they were actually in love, perhaps married. We'll find out perhaps in season 7 in a flashback. Hopefully we see the Turning of Harrenhal flashback this year. At least to get Rhaegar involved and understand what really went on there.
Well, let me ask you this. It's out on another limb. It's got me thinking of all these things. Do you think Catelyn ever had a thing for Littlefinger?
No, I don't think so.
You think he was
always
just her friend?
Always just kind of the little boy friend zoned. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because, she had her eyes on Brandon Stark with the anvil jaw.
Yeah.
So he was always kind of the little brother.
Yeah.
And he got cut up for it.
Damn right he did.
Now I got to cut you.
Oh, you want to hit people with garbage cans. Now I got to cut you.
So yeah, I mean, he even says, as a matter of fact, because I was just doing the next batch of foreshadowing videos, and the scene in the brothel when he gets Roz there for the first time, he tells Roz straight up, he's saving himself for somebody else, and she says she must be a beauty, and he's like, not really, but she has impeccable bloodlines. So all this stuff he tells Sansa about how you look just like your mother, and I love your mother forever. I've only ever loved one woman.
Right.
He didn't even think she would look good.
Exactly.
So he was scheming from the get go. As soon as he lost that duel with Brandon Stark, that changed his life.
Yeah.
He realized, just like he said in the show, I'm not going to fight them. I'm going to fuck them.
Exactly.
Because that's the only way he can win. So he is, like I said the last time, kind of today's Land the Clever.
Yeah.
As far as the repeat of history.
All right, next question. I'm a binge watcher. I love that. It's like, I'm a binge watcher. Love it. Q&A.
That's just Southern, slang.
What do you think about the theory of Dany becoming the Night's Queen? I thought it was interesting. The theory is that the Night's King only turns incest-born children into White Walkers like Craster's sons. And since Dany is a child of incest, she would be able to be turned into the Night's Queen. So the only way to save the realm from the destruction is to have a marriage pact with Dany and the Night King.
Well, if you watched Dragon Part 4,
right,
that was the alternate.
That was the alternate, I know.
Because it kind of merges, Dany kind of gave us a little hint there at the end of season 6, like when Dario said, who are you going to marry now? I don't know. And we think it's going to be Jon, but it may not be Jon. She will probably be in love with Jon and have a child with Jon or something to that effect, but that's the other possibility, is the merging of ice and fire, the whole balance thing.
I know, we talked about that. And
so yeah, check out Dragon Raised by Wolves Part 4, and there's 2 possible endings that we kind of speculate on there.
I just didn't think about the part where it says children of incest.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting, but we really don't know.
That's necessary.
I don't necessarily think so, because she's definitely right about Craster's kids and Targaryens.
Mm-hmm, right.
But we also had the Night's King story, the 13th Lord Commander Night's King.
Right.
And there were sacrifices going on there, but we just don't know who they were.
Right.
There were children being sacrificed through the Black Gate, but were they children of incest? Yeah. Were they just bastards? Were they... So I wouldn't think that they were all like handpicked from incestuous relationships. That, the only really important blood here is the Stark blood, First Man blood, and the Valyrian Targaryen blood. So,
They try to keep the bloodline clean,
Right.
but what they're doing is damaging it down the line.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think George R. R. Martin kind of made a point of that about stuff in those medieval days, because the Targaryens had always wed brother and sister up until fairly recently in our story,
Right.
to keep the bloodlines pure. Now, I don't think the later Targaryens really knew what that was for. It wasn't just for the silvery hair, the silver hair, and the lilac eyes. It was, I think we mentioned this before.
Right.
I think it was for the dragon blood bond that they
was
used
the
to have.
reason,
That was
yeah.
really, really strong back in the old days and they kind of lost that over time and didn't really know how to hatch dragons anymore and stuff.
Right.
So I think that was the original idea of the incest for the Valyrians and Targaryens. And then that's where Dragonbinder comes in as kind of a supplement to that.
Well, what I'm
In the
thinking,
books only.
I'm thinking is, and you may have mentioned this before. I mean, you've done a million videos on this and everything. That has to do with the Mad King going mad.
Yep.
Was it Viserys?
Yeah, he was
edgy and
he was a little edgy.
Yeah, and now Dany is starting to seem a little power hungry, and it's starting to. People are questioning whether she's going to be the Mad Queen and stuff
Right.
like that. I think that has done something to them and made them that way. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure. I mean, I think that's why George R. R. Martin kind of put that stuff in there with, Cersei and Jaime, and, and then you saw Joffrey's another perfect example of that.
That
fucking
is
psychopath.
good point.
But then,
Very good
then you
point.
look at Tommen and Marcel, and they were perfectly fine.
Right.
But then you had a lot of Targaryens through history that were all batshit crazy, and it may not happen overnight. Again, the Mad King thing, I think, it could have been a combination of that, incest, and then Bloodraven.
Right. All right. Next question is from Jared P. Probably a dumb question, but has the show or book indicated what type of steel the swords in the throne are made from? It would be cool if the symbol that many have been fighting to gain control over ends up being a key part in helping to end the war to come.
Right.
If this is as a dumb question, please keep scrolling until you find someone else to humiliate. Okay, bye.
No, it's not a dumb question. It's actually a fairly common question.
Right.
So don't think it's a dumb question. But yeah, I mean, it's just said that the throne is made up of Aegon's fallen enemies' swords.
Okay.
Right, and in the books, it's a much, much larger throne. You actually have
Yes.
to walk up the throne. So the show, very small. I think Littlefinger said it's not even 200 or something like that. So, but you got to think about it. When Aegon conquered the Seven Kingdoms, he basically gave everybody a warning. You didn't have to fight him. You could just bend the knee, and he would grant you keep your lands and titles and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, like for example, Ned Stark and Ice was kept in the family because Torrhen Stark didn't fight Aegon.
Okay.
So he basically named him Warden of the North. The first, he was no longer King of the North. He was Warden of the North and Lord of Winterfell, but he got to keep Ice. So it's implied that it's probably not Valyrian steel and all these other
makes
swords,
sense,
because there's
yeah.
not that many Valyrian steel swords in these families, and so it's probably just regular old steel in the throne.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it would be kind of ironic
Wouldn't it though? Yeah.
to be some Valyrian steel in there, and they can figure out how to reforge it or melt that damn thing down to make weapons.
And I've loved the pictures you've put on your videos before when you show how big the throne really is in the books.
Yeah, it's enormous.
It is.
It is literally thousands of swords in the books.
And
so.
if all those were Valyrian steel, my
Yeah.
goodness gracious.
Yeah, you could have a few weapons there.
Well, keeping with the theme of what's that made of, Sophie M. O'Connell says, "Hey Chris, great video as always. I'm just wondering about the material that the sigils are made from. It either looks like dragon glass or oily black stone."
She's referring to the new teaser, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It kind of looked like I wouldn't say the oily black stone because I don't think they've really brought that into the show. So I mean, I think it kind of just looked like a mud almost. It was froze.
Yeah.
And then when it started snowing, it started breaking apart. It looked almost like identical to glaciers falling off. If you've ever seen that on
Yes.
Discovery Channel or
Identical.
whatever, it looked like ice, like it got frozen and started breaking
agree,
apart
yeah.
like a glacier melting. So yeah, I mean it just kind of looked like a grayish mud to me. I don't really know.
Well, I'm pretty well done on this one, but I would like to say, guys, as I go through here and I look for questions, it used to be a lot easier because a lot of you guys would, start your question with Q&A and then have a question. Now I find myself like searching just for question marks and things like that. So, if you want to shout out, if you want your question answered on a video, preface it with Q&A. That would help me a lot.
Yeah, keep them coming. Keep the questions coming, and definitely tag that with a little Q&A or something in front of it so we can see that a little easier. But we'll keep doing them. It's going to be every couple weeks or whatever with all the foreshadowing videos, and of course we got teasers coming and trailers coming, so there'll be other things. But we'll keep doing Q&As throughout.
Some people's get swept under the rug. Okay.
Yeah,
and
right.
One repeat questioner. Okay? His name is Herb Coswell.
Oh, Herb.
And I promised Herb that I would read one of his questions, but I don't see many these days that aren't the same question. It's like, Chris, have you read my message?
Right. Yes. Herb, I just responded to your message earlier. So,
awesome.
You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, Herb and M. Shaw. So that's a little inside joke. He'll get what I'm talking about. But yeah, Herb, I did read your comment earlier and respond. You write books, man. You write long books.
Yes,
but I appreciate it anyway. So
yeah, I appreciate it.
I did respond. We'll do it again. So yeah, keep the questions coming and just preface them with Q&A. Makes it a little easier. We'll always be doing Q&As. And and this time we did all just regular YouTube commenters and versus Patreons all the time.
Right.
So. To get you guys involved as well. So, as usual, thank you guys for all the support, and especially you guys on Patreon. And, of course, a huge shout-out to my executive Patreon smokescreen producers, Hoss Griffin, Vol Guy 10, Lala Gig, Kissa Powell, Marc Joseph, a.k.a. The Snow in Winterfell, Marylin Bentley, JoAnna, and Sean Hayes. Thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to get everything, and also be sure to click that notification bell beside the subscribe button to make sure you're notified when I drop a new video. So thanks for watching, guys.
Never batted and back, cause a brother is mad at and mad at the fact that's corrupt like a senator.